Tell me, Michael, tell me about your, not just your thoughts, but your feelings about the state tonight of the party that you served and that you led.
Well, we've been through a tumultuous few weeks, and I'm not proud of those few weeks. But now we have a chance to reset, and if we do the right things and make the right choices, I think we can put those tumultuous weeks behind us. I very much hope that we shall have a leader who can provide the stable, strong leadership that the country needs. And I think that if that happens, we can go on and win the next election. I'm old enough to remember Suez, which was a much greater national humiliation than the one we've just been through.
Mm.
And there was a new prime minister within weeks, and he went on to win a majority of 100 at the general election 2 years later.
Well, there's optimism for you, but I mean, I'm interested in, especially in your perspective as a former leader. So do tell me, where do you think, Michael, that Liz Truss went wrong, went so wrong?
Well, I'm afraid the prospectus that she ran on when she ran for the leadership has turned out to be a false prospectus, which many of us were saying at the time. She was promising unfunded tax cuts. To be fair to her, she said throughout that's what she was going to do, and many of us said that that won't work. That it's no good criticizing Treasury orthodoxy. Treasury orthodoxy are
Mm.
really the facts of life.
Yes.
And that's so I think it was, I'm afraid, a false prospectus and a flawed approach from the start. It was never
Yeah.
going to work.
But it plainly didn't work. We can see that, and as you say, you saw it coming. Others predicted it pretty clearly. I just wondered why it happened in the way that it did. Was it hubris? Was it just a sheer lack of judgment? What was it?
Well, there have always been some people in the Conservative Party who believed that that sort of approach would work. I think they've usually been a minority, and the majority have been proved right. It doesn't work.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I don't think we'll ever see that experiment repeated. I hate that.
Ever? You think that as you call it, the experiment,
Well,
that's now been banished forever?
we've never gone in for unfunded tax cuts before. Margaret Thatcher never went in for unfunded tax cuts.
No.
Conservatives have always believed in sound money. Sound money has been at the heart of the conservative approach to the economy, and that means, as Rishi Sunak said in the leadership campaign, you have to tackle inflation first, and then you can do the things which might encourage growth to come about. We all
Yes.
want to see growth in the economy. Everybody wants to see growth in the economy, but inflation was a very pressing problem. It had to be dealt with, and many of the measures which Liz Truss originally put forward were going to make inflation worse.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Michael. We've been spending a lot of time this evening, and we'll spend more talking about Boris Johnson for very obvious reasons. You, as leader, you sacked Boris Johnson from your front bench when he was a young front bencher because, well, you found him guilty of lying. What do you make of the idea of a second coming now for Boris Johnson?
Well, I think what happened all those years ago is irrelevant, and actually, I think I made the wrong decision probably then. But I don't think we should seriously entertain the prospect of a return of Boris. We don't want to go back to that psychodrama. Boris had his chance. He failed to retain the confidence of a majority of the Conservative members of Parliament, and I think that's got to be that for all his talents, as
Mm.
far as Johnson and the leadership are concerned.
Mm.
Um, he's had his chance, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I was talking earlier on this program to Alistair Butt, who you know well, a guy who commands some respect in the Conservative Party. Did as an MP, did as a minister. He's telling me that he thinks maybe the best thing for the Conservative Party now is a period in opposition to, I don't know, to regain the respect and just the mindset that it needs to govern again. What would you say to Alistair?
I think he's wrong. I do have respect for Alistair, but I think he's wrong. The best thing for the country is to have sound, sensible strong conservative government for the next 2 years until the next election when the country can make up its mind. I think that's going to be best for the country. I think people like Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt have the right ideas about the future of the country.
Yeah.
I don't think the Labour Party has, and I think it will be much better for the country. The country will benefit from 2 years of strong, sensible, conservative leadership.
I mean, you mentioned Rishi Sunak. Jeremy Hunter said he doesn't want to run. Rishi Sunak, clearly seen as a contender. You think he's capable of uniting the party? Because there's a pretty strong core of Conservatives who just have it in for Rishi Sunak. Among other reasons, they blame him for the downfall of Boris Johnson.
Yes, well, it's no good nurturing past grievances. I think whoever is elected next week, and I hope it'll be Rishi Sunak, will be in a strong position. And if Conservative members of Parliament want to save their seats at the next election, they will have to rally round whoever is elected. The time for factions and for nurturing grievances and for all that sort of stuff is over. We will elect a leader next week, and that leader must have the support of the party. That's what's necessary to give the country what it needs.
And you're honestly telling me you feel optimistic about the next election. Just look at those opinion polls. We've seen some pretty remarkable turnarounds in history for sure, but it's a vertical climb from here, Michael, isn't it?
Well, I've just given you an example of a turnaround from history.
There aren't too many like that.
Well, there aren't too many situations such as the one we're in at the moment. Look, I can't give you a guarantee that the Conservatives will win the next election. Of course I can't. But I don't think a defeat is inevitable. Far from it. I think that 2 years of sensible government.
Okay.
Of course, the next 12 months are going to be painful and very difficult. But in 12 or 18 months' time, I think inflation will be coming down, interest rates will be coming down, and the Prime Minister, whoever he or she is, will be able to say, we've taken tough decisions.
Okay.
The country is now reaping the fruits of them. Trust us and don't let Labour ruin it.